blasting, billowing, bursting forth with the power of 10 billion butterfly sneezes.
This is Wine, Money, and Song. And if you want an insider's view of the wine industry, and if you're interested in learning about wines in different wine areas, please subscribe. So the holidays are coming around very soon. I've had some guests drop by recently to my house, and there are people from the wine business and some wine collectors and wine enthusiasts. So I feel obligated to bring out some good wine. So this episode is going to be a masterclass on Bordeaux. And there are 6 wines that I've had recently in the last couple of weeks. And they were very interesting to taste. And I want to go each one of them and give a little background on them. But as the holidays come around, you always want to look for some special bottles, and I like to go through my collection and ferret out a few special wines, and I've done this recently, so hopefully you'll enjoy. To start the masterclass, I don't want to start out too capriciously. The first wine is Chateau Petrus, 1994. Now, 1994 is not a great vintage in Bordeaux, but to understand something about Chateau Petrus, besides it's insanely expensive, Chateau Petrus, the tract of land that it's on, is very unique. It has what they call blue clay with some gravel underneath and very iron-rich soil. And there's only maybe 3 or 4 other chateaus that have similar soil as Petrus does. I know Lafleur Petrus does, Les Conseillants does, and L'Evangile share some of that soil, that blue clay. And it's a very rich soil, and it's a soil, clay absorbs moisture. And if it rains during the harvest, it's very, very hard to get rid of the water because it doesn't drain well. But they do have that gravel underneath. So just a little story about Petrus itself. As I said about the plot of land, they produce about 3,000 cases each vintage. And put that in perspective, Latour makes about 10,000 cases a year. And that has a lot to do with the price. Now, this wine, if you look it up, it's around $3,000 a bottle. And it's up to you what $3,000 means. For one person, $3,000 a bottle is a roadblock, a blockade that they'll never be able to taste a wine like that. Well, someone else, it could be no big deal. It depends how much discretionary income you have. The reason why, though, Petrus is very expensive, the scarcity, which I mentioned, and also the yields are very low. There's 3 tons per acre with Petrus. And it's really sought after by collectors. And you put those factors in motion, those 3 things, it drives the price up. People will pay more for it. And the wines, obviously, are great wines. And just to talk about the 94, as I said, it's not considered to be a great harvest, but Petrus 94 is an outstanding wine. It's very elegant and has beautiful fruit, silky tannins, great length. Now, the wine, this is a 94, so we're talking 30-year-old wine. This wine's going to go another 20 years. It's so silky, so complex, and it opened up. The more air it hit, the more complex the wine was. And understand something about Petrus, the quality control. In 1992, when it was going to rain, they put tarps over the vines so it wouldn't dilute, the rain wouldn't dilute the grapes before the harvest. That's crazy. And there are years when it was raining, they would bring in helicopters to dry the ground. So understand about Petrus, why it's so expensive and so rare. Is it a great wine? Yeah, and it's like up to you. Hopefully sometime in your life you'll be able to taste it. Now, how many vintages have I had? Oh, I probably had 25 to 30 different vintages. I've been very lucky. I know other collectors, and when I bought these wines, like this one, I said it's 3,000. I think I paid maybe 100 for it, and I was just, it was a timely purchase. So, but if you do have a chance, especially go over someone who you know who has money and they have it, you'll be lucky. All right, the second wine is Chateau Montrose Saint-Eustache. Saint-Eustache is the most northern of all the left bank wines and very heavy soil. And I consider Montrose to be the top wine of Saint-Eustache. The 2004, which is an average vintage, very, very high yield vintage. This is about 30% Merlot, which softens it up. Montrose makes very rich, regal wines, very tannic wines. This wine is one of the better 2004s. It's very rich, black fruits, great mouthfeel, and really a formidable wine. And compared to some of the other 2004s, is one of the better made wines. So look for this one, full-bodied sturdy wine. The next wine is going to be a 1982. And I just stumbled across this in my cellar. It was in my rack, and it's probably one of the last bottles I have of the 82 Au Bataille Pauillac. And it's a wine that's sort of in the background all the time. You know, Pauillac has all the famous Lafite, Latour, all of the famous wines and very expensive wines like Pichon Lalande. And this one's in the background. So 1982, as you know, is a great vintage. And this is one of the 82s that's very sexy and suave. It doesn't smack you across the face. It's not big like some of the other Pauillacs are. But it's very elegant, and it really has a finesse to it. And the wine, it's a 1982, so it's nearing on 50 years. And the wine is at its peak drinkability now, but it was delicious. And I remember originally I paid $9 for this. Now it's about $150 at auction. And at $150, it's worth it. It's really delicious. Not overwhelming, not overly complex, but just what Bordeaux is. And I'm talking about these wines that are aging 40, 50 years. Come on, only Bordeaux does that consistently. So, Au Bataille 1982, delicious. The next wine is a favorite of mine. It's the 2000 Branaire-Ducru. And as I've said a few other times, this is from Saint-Julien. And I said many other times, Branaire is one of the best values in Bordeaux, let alone Saint-Julien. And it's a mixture of heavy soils and lighter soils and more balanced, not over-the-top wines. This 2000, when I opened it up, it's just so delicious right now, but still put together. It's 24 years old, and the fruit is so delicious. The nose is fragrant, and this bottle was so enjoyable. When my son's home for Christmas vacation, I'm definitely going to open up a bottle of this and celebrate him nearing his graduation from college. 2000 Branaire-Ducru was one of the best wines, value-wise, that I tasted from the 2000 vintage. A lot of the wines from the 2000 vintage are very tannic, and even to this day now, they're still tannic. I had a bottle of Gruade Rose 2000. It's very good, but it's stern tannics. This is velvety tannins, and is really delicious. And if you find this is about 125 to 150 now. Outstanding. The next wine is 2009 Chateau de Sales. It's a Pomerol. And de Sales is the largest estate in Pomerol. I think there's 88 hectares and 40 of them are under vine. They produce more than any other estate in Pomerol. And what Chateau de Sales is not a big brooding wine, a rich wine like a lot of Pomerols are. This wine, the 2009, is 89% Merlot and 11% Cabernet Franc. And the soil is very sandy and gravelly. So it gives a lighter body of wine, but the 2009 is a sexy, elegant, just so easy to drink, red fruits, and the whole bottle just got better and better as it was opened. And I just want to go back to Chateau Petrus. Chateau Petrus, in this vintage, 1994, part of it was Cabernet Franc, but since 2006, all the Petruses are 100% Merlot. So I omitted that, but you should understand anything after 2006 is 100% Merlot. But as I said, this is 89%, and this wine's $40. This wine, the Chateau de Sales. And buy it in good vintages, riper vintages, and the wine ages well, and it's an elegant, lighter wine, and just so delicious in good years. The last wine is Chateau de Fargues. Now, Chateau de Fargues is a Sauterne, and it's owned by the Salus family, who own Chateau Yquem. And it's right next to Chateau Yquem, and Chateau Yquem is the most famous Sauterne made and the most expensive Sauterne made. And the reason why it is that Yquem is that it has that great piece of land, and they're so labor intensive that they pick it berry by berry. And that drives the cost up, and they pick several times. They go through the vineyard. Now, the composition of the de Fargues, and de Fargues is an adjoining chateau next to Yquem, and with the same ownership and the same winemaker. But they didn't start producing Sauterne there until 1943, and that's in the middle of World War II. So it's relatively young compared to Chateau Yquem as far as the vineyards go. But the wine now, I've had quite a few different vintages of de Fargues, and de Fargues 80% Semillon and 20% Sauvignon Blanc. It's very rich, and there is a lot of botrytis in the wine. Botrytis is the process that the noble rot penetrates the grape and sucks the water out, but leaves a syrup-like concoction that's bottled. And the wine is viscous. You get apricots, you get pineapple, you get even dates in it, and sometimes peaches. And there's a lusciousness to the wine that's incredible. And one of the greatest sweet wines in the world are Sauterne. And a wine like this is about, I picked it up in auction for $80, but I've seen it on Wine Searcher for about $129, $150. It is, and it ages for a long time. This is the 2005. And should you have this after a meal, because of the sweetness and the viscosity of the wine, you could serve it with plain, like apple tarts, peach tarts, or just vanilla ice cream. And it's so succulent and so delicious that you should almost have it with an eyedropper. It's just so rich and golden and coat your mouth with beautiful flavors. And these are 6 wines that I enjoyed immensely, all of them. And they're all very different. So hopefully this was a little mini masterclass for you. And in the next month or so, hopefully I'll be ferreting out more wines out of my cellar and sharing them with some of my wine friends. So enjoy.